Hi, in this video, we will be seeing how to use array one dimension, two dimension, and then string class and string builder class. First, I'm going to add main method. So inside main method, I'm going to declare an array of numbers. So to declare array, you will have to mention the type followed by box bracket, variable name, mentioning it as numbers for equals to new operator, then int type box bracket. Within that, you will have to mention the size of an array. So I'm going to put the size of my array as 3. This is how you will initialize. You will declare the array, declare the size of the array. How to initialize the array is numbers is equals to curly brace, and inside that you put 2, 4, and 6. So initializing, once you have given the size of the array, is you'll have to use the numbers equals to new operator int and then mention this thing. Another way to do initializing the elements inside your array will be again int type. So this is going to be second example. So num, I'll use it as even. Okay, I'll use it as odd numbers. So now new int square bracket, and in that I'll put 1, 3, 5, 7. So this is another way of initializing the values directly. So if you look at both the things, here I have int numbers, I have given the size. Size is fixed in array. Even here the size is fixed. So here I have added 4 elements in it. I cannot add a fifth element. For example, let me show you what I mean by that. Now I have odd numbers of, this is size 4. So let's say 4 equals to 71. And let's print. Okay, now that I've added there, let's try to add fifth element. So if you look both these numbers that I've added, the size of the element is already fixed. Now that I've added 2 more numbers, so 0, 1, 2, 3, and this is 4. So fourth element, I'm replacing the 7 with 71, and I'm also adding a fifth element, which is 72. Now let's demonstrate and see how we can access the first array, which is this numbers, and then we'll move to the odd numbers. So here I'm going to try using for loop. So to use for loop, we'll need 3 parts in it, which is initialization. So int I is equals to 0. So from the index of 0, I less than numbers dot length I plus plus. Here let's print numbers of I. Now let's try to run this program. So if you look at this, it is printing the numbers array from 2, 4, and 6. And also if you look for the exception here, you're seeing that there is an exception happening at line number 12, which is this one, and it is array index out of bounds exception because we've already initialized the array here. Let me put a system out.println and tell the length of this array. So the size of this array is 4, and now here I have put a fifth element, which is 71. If I'll add this as third element, I mean index of 3, which is fourth element, and now if I'll run, so this line will work, but the index of 5 will not work. Now let's replace that to 4. I'll still get the array index out of bound exception. Why? Because I have mentioned the size of this array is 4 by initializing it at the very first step itself. Even in this code, what we have here is we have numbers array, and the numbers array's size is 3. And if I'm going to try to add an extra element, it is going to break the code because array is of fixed size. If you wanted to increase the size of an array, or if you will have a requirement where you will need to add extra elements further in your code or further in your requirements where you will be expected to have a couple of more values, so array will not be the most viable option here. In that case, you will have to go for array list. So this is one of the pitfall of using array in the programs. Array is of fixed size. Once you mentioned your size or once you have initialized with the number of elements, you cannot modify it later, like by adding some few more elements. So we'll have to remove this line here because this array size is 3. You cannot add fourth element. So here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to modify my fourth element, which is odd numbers of index 3, which is 71. 7, I'm trying to replace it with 71. You can update the existing items, but you cannot modify them. So this updation, what you will call as mutable. You will be able to modify an integer type array. So this is something you will have to note down. So int array is mutable. So let's try to print these odd numbers using for each loop. So for each loop, you will need type. So here the type is int. I'm going to use the number as number colon and mention your array type, the collection type. So in this Now let's try to print system.out.println and type the number that you wanted to print. I'll mention it as the odd numbers are plus number. So the odd numbers are 1, 3, 5 and 7. We have the even numbers here. So even numbers are 2, 4, 6, and then we are also printing the length of the odd numbers, which is 1, 3, 5, 7, which is 4. This is one dimensional array. We saw how we initialized it. We saw how we declare the size of it, and we saw how we can access them and print them. Now let's try to see two-dimensional array. So for that, I will need in box bracket 2 times matrix. Inside this, I will use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Similarly, let's try to print the length of this matrix. If you look at it, I'm using the method called length method, which is supported by arrays. So here I'm going to put length of the matrix, which is 3. So we will also use system.out.println, and I'll try to put matrix for the, so this is a two-dimensional array, means it has rows and columns. It has 3 rows. Look at it. There are 3 rows and 3 columns. So you will have to mention which index you wanted to refer. So I'm going to put 1, comma 1, and let's try to print which one is going to be printed. Going to be 5. So this is 0, this is 0, 1, and this is 0, 2, and this is 1, 0, 1, 1, and 1, 2. So this is one element at 1, 1, 1, which is going to be printed neatly as 5. So let's see how we can print this matrix. Let's try to do with for loop. So we have 3 and 3. I equals to 0. I less than matrix length. I plus plus. So we need one loop for rows and one loop for columns. Int j equals to 0. J is equals to j less than matrix dot length. So we'll need to print the current element. So once we print it, we'll have to move to the next line. Let's run and see this. So we have three rows and 3 columns. I'm using a for loop for row and one for loop for column. So the first one will give me 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. Next time the outer loop will become 1, and this loop will be 1, 0. Then it will be this loop. Outside loop will be iterating first time. So it will be like 0. And inner loop will be 1, 2, and 3 times. Second iteration. Outer loop will be 1. Inner loop will be 0, 1, and 2. Inner loop will be 0, 1, 2. Now outer loop will be 2. Inner loop will be 0, 1, 2. So the matrix I value will be 0, 0, 0, 1, and 0, 2. Second iteration for outside and inside outside loop will be like 1, 0, 1, 1, and 1, 2. Third time it will be 2, 0, 2, 1, and 2, 2. Now here there is one small mistake. You should not be checking the matrix length for the inner loop. You will have to check for the row's length. So row here is matrix of I. Now when you run this, so the output is somewhat same, but this length should be matching with this one. Since we had 3 into 3 array, it was working even with the length of the matrix for inner loop. But ideally, we should be using the length of your rows as condition for your inner loop. So this is your two-dimensional array, and it is nested for loop. Let's move on to strings. So for strings, what we have in Java is we have, I'm just going to write all the methods first so that we don't miss anything. We have char@. This will take an index of your string and then it will give you an output. And then we have method called substring. It will take from and to position to give substring of a string. And we have a method called equals. It will need 2 strings to compare and give boolean result, and we have uppercase or lowercase, so uppercase method, and we also have string length method. One more key point about string is immutable. Okay, so for string, let's start with string class, and word is equals to hello. Let's print out the length of this word dot length. Word length is 5, and we will try to print out word dot caret index. I'm going to keep the index 1. So index 1 is going to be E. The length of your string is length of hello is, it will give you a length of the word variable which is holding hello. And I'll also show you what is mean by immutable equals to no. And let's try to print word.toString. Now I'm going to concat with, I'll mark this as new word. I have second word which is no. I'm going to concat my word with an old word. So dot concat with new word. So I'm expecting it to print hello no. I'll put it as world. And now let's try to print this. So if you look at the word that I'm trying to print, it is still printing hello. Even though we modified the word, so this place I'm trying to modify it, modifying to add new word, and then I'm trying to print it. I'm still seeing the hello only, I'm not seeing hello world. This is because it is immutable. Let's look at the other examples that we have here. And system out dot println. Let's try to compare the word dot equals, whether it is equals to new word. So the answer should be false. It should be printing false. Let's try and run this. False. Just changing the sentence to post modifying so that we are in track of what we do. So we saw length method, caret method, we saw toString, we saw equals method. Let's see the uppercase method. Uppercase, and I'll change it to uppercase. Let's try to run. Now the word hello is going to be in caps. So these are the methods that will be frequently used in test automation in the string class. Next, let's look at string builder. String builder class. My word is equals to new string builder, and inside that I'm going to pass hi. So the best part with string builder is now I have my world. Now I can add append, and inside append I can put hi there. Now when I try to print this append, and now let's put my world and use toString. Let's try to run this. You will see that the word has got concatenated, meaning it has got modified, and post modification word is. So these are the bare minimum things that needs to be practiced for array and strings in Java. Hope you find this video helpful. If you have any questions, or if you're looking for any specific topic that needs to be addressed in the videos, please let